Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today, as always. And today we're going to be doing a little bit of a different style of video. And we're going to be doing a topical video, which is a style of video I haven't done in quite a while on this channel, so I'm excited to do another one here. And what we're going to be discussing today is the current state of Elden Ring's multiplayer and the potential future of Souls PvP in general. Now, before we move forward here, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because Elden Ring Night Reign is about to come out here in a few months, and at least at the time of recording this video anyway. For better or worse, there's not going to be any invasions in the game. It's just going to be a co-op only experience, solo co-op only. For better or worse here, I didn't get a chance to play the network test. You know, honestly, from looking at just the gameplay that I saw, maybe it's best that it's not in there. For all I know here. But I wanted to just take a look at what the state of Elden Ring is right now, and because we're going to be stuck with it for quite a while, like it or not. That's just how it looks here. We're going to be years off from the next Souls title, most likely. So let's look at what we have so far here, shall we? One of the other reasons why I wanted to make this video is because probably around September or October, I plan on making a video kind of similar to this. Because at that point, I was kind of dissatisfied is the right word with the state of Elden Ring's multiplayer. And I was going to make kind of like a retrospective then, you know, is it cooked, is it not, basically. But I actually ended up writing down some notes in a notebook here that I haven't looked at in probably about 5-6 months. And so we're going to go through these points together, see if they hold up. I kind of skimmed through a little bit here, and I think that there's some good points here that we should go over. Now, let me preface all this with why I think Souls multiplayer is important, at least to me anyway. To me, that's where the replay value is. You know, making a new build with the goal of invading with it in mind completely changes how you play the game. If you have to go through the game because you want to make a level 30, 60, you know, 90, meta level 200, your gameplay experience can be completely different depending on what bosses you are fighting, depending on what weapon upgrade level you're going to be stuck at. Your entire approach to the game is going to be different. It's almost like a challenge run, to be honest with you. It's kind of like when you have somebody they're going to go through the game. I'm going to go through at level 1 with a broken straight sword, right? That is a challenge run, obviously. And you have similar restrictions as an invader because you have to fit within soul and weapon levels. That is a completely different experience than, you know, just running through the game vanilla, right? So let's go ahead and get back to Elden Ring here. So I'm going to address what I call the elephants in the room. These are the things that everyone has talked about, but we're going to lay them out anyway here. For one, there's a 4-player limit instead of 6. You know, there's no covenants. There's no solo invasions. Strangely enough, I think the lack of solo invasions by default is the biggest change out of those 3 things, to be honest with you. The removal of solo invasions is not ideal for the host, any summons in the world, for blues, or for invaders. It's not ideal at all. And I'm explaining why here with mathematics. Now, you can trust that my math works out here. I was a C student in math class, so I can almost guarantee that this math checks out here. Let's assume, just for easy math, that we have 100 players playing online in Elden Ring. We have 25 solo players going through the game with no taunters ton on, so they are shut off from the invasion pool. They cannot be invaded. Now, we also have 25 invaders that are looking for a match. They're all, you know, spamming their bloody finger recusant fingers as we speak. Then we have 25 pairs of 2 players of co-op duos going through the game. Now, those duos are the only games available to be invaded because our hosts, our solo hosts, our 25 solo hosts, there's no solo invasions. The invaders are never going to see them. They're never going to be invaded. And so what that means is our co-op friends that are just trying to go through the game, and now mind you, a lot of people doing co-op don't want to be invaded, right? That's a negative to them. They view that as a negative interaction. They are being forced to take on all the invasions that are currently being queued up right now. Now, if we allowed solo invasions in the game, that would completely dilute the pool to where the invaders have many games that they could invade. You know, let's be real here. Most players playing the game are going through the game solo. You know, they're not doing co-op, or if they do, it's maybe with some friends every now and again sort of thing. And there's less players that invade than are playing through the game solo. So if we had solo hosts in addition to our co-op friends being invaded here, That means each player would get invaded less frequently, if my math checks out here. And so Elden Ring taking away the solo invasions and making it opt-in if you're by yourself has actually increased the frequency of invasions for people that honestly don't want to be invaded and they just want to do co-op. Now there are co-op teams that do want to be invaded and do turn the Taunter's Ton on, but the Taunter's Ton introduces a whole separate issue of it being able to be toggled off. It doesn't work like the drive finger, you know, here in Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, where once it's on, it's on. You know, you're going to be getting invaded. And you're opening up more slots for more invaders, basically. At no point in these other games, you know, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, can you turn the drive finger off. There's no way to do it unless you go ahead and either restart the game, or if you go ahead and warp somewhere, you know, something along those lines, it stays on, you know, whether you like it or not. And so being able to turn off the Taunter's Ton is a detriment for the invader, because they show up to this world, and, you know, if you guys have invaded an Elden Ring, you've experienced exactly what I'm going to talk about here. You invade a world, it's a host and his two buddies at the first step. You come in, you invade, and then what do as soon as you come in? They turn a Taunter's Ton off. So even if you take out one of their friends, there's no way you're going to be getting backup in Elden Ring. It's not going to happen. More likely to get a blue that comes in instead. Far more likely. And that brings me into my next point here about how hunters even got shafted in Elden Ring. At least previously in Souls games, the hunters at least had a purpose where they could come in and help a host that was in trouble, you know, damsel in distress type situation. In Elden Ring, they are just accessories to ganks, and they don't even get an actual reward for doing it besides a rune arc, which are a dime a dozen later in your playthroughs here. So they don't even have an actual purpose in the game. There's no actual benefit to being a blue other than you think you're helping people, which may be the case sometimes, but I just think it's not implemented in a way that's actually satisfying for all parties here. Now you may be asking yourself, you know, or asking me, that is, Vince, if I'm an invader, I want to fight as many people as I can, right? Well, the issue is in Elden Ring, basically every invasion is a gank type situation where you as the invader, you can watch some of my videos where this happens, where it basically turns into, I summon in as the invader, I killed the host's two, you know, phantoms, and then immediately two blues show up. And it's a 5v1 situation. Now the host can even go ahead and resummon their friends back in when the blues die, and now we have a 7v1 situation. This isn't, you know, a horrible thing to have happen, you know, but it can easily be abused when we factor in how the Taunter's Ton works as well. I think you can see where this is going. If we factor in all the cheese that is in Elden Ring that is available for hosts, summons, blues, and invaders alike, it can make a very frustrating experience for at least one of the parties in this situation. Now this brings up a good point, which is the weapon balance in Elden Ring. Now, I know this seems like a lot of negatives in this video, but trust me, I love Elden Ring. I think it's a fantastic game. I just wish the multiplayer was a little bit better than what it is right now, just from a, you know, from my standpoint at least. There are going to be some negatives, but there are positives in this video as well that I'd like to talk about. Elden Ring did build diversity the best out of any of the Souls games. Interchangeable Ashes of War, you can really make any build that you really wanted to make. We have the Ashes of War, we have a huge variety of weapons, we have a huge variety of spells, and thematically what you can do with these builds is fantastic, and I love it for that. Now you couple this with the advanced movement that we have, you know, jumping, crouching, and just fluid movement in general, it really makes for a good package in Elden Ring. The problem comes in where it seems the kind of direction they took with Elden Ring is it kind of became a complete power fantasy almost, you know. It's an anime laser fest if you have invaded at any point after the DLC has released. The DLC introduced a lot of stuff that I'm not sure if I'm a fan of. It seems like every weapon has some sort of projectile that it shoots out. Some of the new spells are just massive AoEs, and all these things are fine on their own, right? If you look at them by themselves, they're fine. But when you couple these in with multiple players, it can be absolutely chaotic and not in a good way. You have points where as the invader, if you're by yourself going against a team of 3, or even if you're a host going against a skilled opponent, if you're by yourself, right? We have things introduced like the dueling shields, for example, that weapon class, which I have no idea how that got past, balance testing, at least multiplayer wise, at least, where not only do you have a great shield that can block most damage coming your way, if not all of it, depending on, what kind of shield you're using, but it also has a great moveset as well that, also blocks as you attack, if I remember correctly. You can turtle up with this thing and attack, and they're just annoying to deal with. They're not a fun thing to fight against at all. And when I was messing around with them when the DLC came out, I didn't find them fun to use either. I mean, it was a good attempt, but it just doesn't seem like it was made with balance in mind, if we put it that way. There were also things introduced, like the light great swords and the backhand blades, where the backhand blades had their own issues on release, and so did the light great swords. Different issues. Light great swords were a little bit weak because they didn't have the correct poise damage, and backhand blades had swift slash. If you remember that, that was a nightmare to deal with. But currently nowadays, they are relatively annoying to deal with in certain contexts. I just feel that they carry too much forward momentum for the amount of damage that they can put out. Now, this isn't really a big deal if we're talking about one guy using them, but you have to factor in that you're going against a team of 3, that all 3 of them could be using a light greatsword, for example. They all got Milady, and you can't get away to heal if you need to. Or you have somebody using that and a backhand blade, and then there's a mage in the back that is just shooting spells at you constantly, and it's just constant pressure on you. It's just not fun gameplay. It's more stressful. It's more of a, stress simulator sometimes, if you want to look at it that way. There's also more, I guess, tame weapons, if you want to look at it through that lens, like the Mesmer Spear, for example. I don't have an issue with that weapon per se, but it's just a philosophy of the design. Its Asher War is absolutely insane the first time I saw that. It was a full boss combo before I'd even fought Mesmer. I invaded somebody using that. It's absolutely crazy with the amount of things going on your screen at any given time. And it's just so many things to keep track of on your screen. This guy is doing this explosion. This guy is striking 5,000 times. I don't blame a lot of players who are just playing passively. If you are the invader and you're just shooting them with a bow from a distance until they run out of juice and they can't do it anymore. To be honest, that is the optimal play. All of this compounds on all of the things that we did not like from the base game. To this day, I still do not like a lot of the Dragon Communion spells, at least going up against them anyway. Like the Dragon's Breath, for example. The classic Dragon's Breath. A hallway full of people using that spell is a nightmare situation to be in. It's not fun. Yes, you can counter it a little bit, but there's certain situations where there's really not much you can do. You're getting Dragon Breath to death, or you're at least taking a lot of damage, or getting some sort of status effect inflicted upon you. But saying all that, let's go ahead and bring it back here. Let's get to today. Where is Elden Ring's multiplayer at today? What is the general consensus? What are people saying online? What do they think about the gameplay, right? Well, if you take a look at any sort of invader group page, subreddit, Discord, whatever have you, you find very mixed opinions. You have people saying it's the best thing ever. You have people saying it's the worst thing ever. And to be honest, Elden Ring is a dichotomy of both. It has some of the best invasion encounters I've ever had in a Souls game, including Dark Souls 1, 2, 3. It has some of the best encounters I've ever had in an invasion, where it was exhilarating the entire time. It was fun. It was a good group of people to invade. Maybe they even have fun. They had a Toner's Ton on, and I got a teammate somehow, and it was a good back and forth sort of thing. We had a whole war. Elden Ring is also littered with some of the worst invasions I've ever experienced in my life. Think non-stop mage spam. Think non-stop Moonveil, Rivers of Blood. Release Elden Ring. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure how many of you invaded on those early days of Elden Ring. Those were some of the most miserable invasions I've ever seen in my life. It was completely unbalanced, for better or worse. I took a pause myself, actually, when I came out on the invasions. All of that compounds into what we have today. We have some decent invasions going on in Elden Ring, but I fear a little bit for the future of where the series is heading, specifically with the exclusion of invasions in Night Rain. Now, like I said earlier, Elden Ring is its own game. Night Rain is going to be its own game. There are different genres from what I understand. And for better or worse, invasions are not in there. And so that brings in the question, what is the future going to hold for invasions? So I do think invasions will be in the next Souls game, and hopefully a lot better, because I'm not a pessimist, I'm an optometrist. I try to look on the bright side of things here. And I like to think invasions are going to be retooled and maybe put with a little bit more effort into the next game. Now, I do want to say the older games did have their issues as well. You can always go back and invade on them, like I am currently doing. They do have their own issues, but each one kind of brings its own flavor to the table. Those games succeeded in having an actual multiplayer infrastructure built around them, minus all their shortfalls here. So, we still have invasions to be had. There's still plenty of fun to be had on Elden Ring and in the older Souls titles as well. I appreciate you guys for watching this video. This was a little bit of a different video for me to make. It's been quite a while since I made a topical video, but I had a little bit of a hiatus. I wanted to come back, do something a little bit different, maybe give my opinion on some things in Elden Ring. I apologize for the break. It's been a crazy past couple of months, and I was a little bit sick for the past 2 weeks, and I don't think you guys wanted to hear me be on the microphone like blah, 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 blah. I don't think it would have come out great. You know, maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't think that would have been great. But let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, if you want me to do more like it, let me know. Give it a like, let me know in the comments. If you dislike the video, let me know in the comments. But listen, thank you guys for watching. It's awesome talking to you guys. Hope you guys all have a good one. Take it easy, be good, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.